All right, fellas. Another amp here. This one's one I really wanted for a really long time. When these first came out, I was just blown away by the looks of them and just how unique they were. These amps, though, people that know them, I guess the best way to describe this is like that girl in high school that, was really good looking and you knew she put out, but your dad's like, hey, maybe not this one. She's probably going to be more trouble than she's worth. And then later you wish you would have listened to him. This would be that in amp form. These are, I don't know, it depends on who you talk to. Some people think they're rock solid. Most people are like, there's a design flaw in the power supply. I've heard the cooling system is it's inadequate. I've read all kinds of different things. Everybody agrees that they are gorgeous sounding amplifiers when running, and that they put out plenty of power. I'll go over the specs and we'll take a look underneath, and then I'll probably end this video there and then do a second video going over like how this thing is set up. There's things I don't know about this amp as far as like how to properly run it, because you can run it. It's a 3-channel and it's got like 2 stereo channels, then a mono channel, but there's actually 4 stereo channels. So I believe this is more of a 5-channel amplifier, but I don't know if those are summed with the other 2 stereo channels. So like, let's say if you hooked up um, 2, like, or all 4 of them, and they're 4-ohm speakers, if you're actually driving a 2-ohm load. I don't know that yet. So I'm trying to find this stuff out because I do want to use this amp at some point. At least to hear it. I also want to get this on a dyno. I have never seen an Xtant amp on a dyno. Now, this is a Macmillan designed amp, so it's probably, I feel like this one is gonna do, it's rated and probably a little bit more, where most of his amps, like the PPI, are a little bit less. So it's, I mean, I don't know how it's gonna shake out, but what's interesting, like this amp's got 100 amps of fusing on it, and it's only saying it's a 600 watt amp. That's a heck of a lot of fusing for a 600 watt amp. So I think it does quite a bit more than that, and that's why I think it's designed to run, like, you can run your whole system off. It's like a 5-channel, but it doesn't have like 5 inputs. I think it's a deal is it just splits the signal and then sums the second signal for the subwoofer, like mono channel. But anyway, I'll go ahead and go over some of the specs I got on it. You can see here. Focus. This is the very first series they had, because they had the gosh, I won't focus on this. The Xtant 3300X, which I think it had more crossovers on it. And then also like this colored section was, I think it wasn't colored anymore by that point. And then they went through another iteration where it wasn't even the square. This wasn't stainless, because this is just a stainless cover. So there's no coating on this. Then they went to just a chrome plated. And then MTX bought them, and I don't know much about those, and they have like octagons instead of squares. But anyway, um, yeah, these are really, really gorgeous amps in person. Very unique. Like, there's nothing on the sides. There's just, I don't know, when I get the top off, I'll show you. You have to kind of take it off, hook everything up, and then put it back on. Its bandwidth is 5 to 50,000 hertz, plus or minus 1 dB. Number of channels says 3, but I think it's kind of more like a 5. Watts into 4 ohm is 2 by 60, and then the mono is 1 at 180, and then at 2 ohm, this is 2 by 120 and 1 by 360. You can bridge those front two for 240, but you have to bridge that at 4 ohm, whereas the other channel you'll be doing that at 2 ohm. Total harmonic distortion is measured at those rated numbers. And that's why I think it'll do more if you take it up to 1%, because they're measuring those numbers at 0.04%, which with all channels driven at 4 ohm. Signal noise is A weighted. It's greater than 100. Um, in the noise bandwidth, so all throughout. Dampening factor greater than 200 at 100 hertz with a 4 ohm load. It accepts the input sensitivity is 100 millivolts to 8.5 volts RMS unbalanced signal, or 100 millivolts to 17 volts RMS balanced signal. Now this I don't know, because I'm getting all this from the X manual. There's not a C manual currently online, so I don't know that this has the onboard crossovers. This does have its fully regulated power supply, operates between 11 and 15 volts, and it has a dual 50 amps of fusing. And then these amps had 4-year warranties when bought new, so I mean, that might have been why the company didn't last too long, because they're very finicky amps. You see a lot of them not working. That just, I mean, on eBay, you can kind of tell what amps didn't last, because on eBay you know, they'll say, you'll see a whole bunch for sale that aren't working, and then other brands where you rarely see that model being sold as is not working. But anyway, so I'll go ahead and pop the top off this, and we'll take a look at it. All right, fellas, here's the board. This is mounted through these socket head cap screws. There's like little standoffs onto this sheet of stainless, and there's these standoffs that mount the shroud on top. But see here, it's a fan, and then all this is heat sink, and it blows through here. It's supposed to blow around to here, so I could see where people were saying, let me see, it's just heat sink. That they were thinking, this fan, you're only catching actually about 2/3 of the fan going into this tunnel, and then the air's supposed to travel this distance, and this is all this is a piece of like craft paper. So I guess I can see, that these might have had a problem dissipating heat, and also I've heard the power supply section was just not designed properly. This one's had work. All these caps are brand new. This one was, I guess, recapped just recently. But other than that, we'll go over. There's the input RCAs, output RCAs. There's the gains for the left and right front. There's the gain. Where is it? Right there. Point it out. Right there for the subwoofer, or like the mono output. What I don't like is they put that right next to a bias pot, which is insane to me. Because I mean, if you mess with the bias on these, you're gonna smoke the amp unless you know exactly what you're doing. Here's a couple more. They're kind of further away from these gains. I mean, they're different, but I can just see some guy going in there and going like, looking at the diagram and going, oh, the you turn the gain up over here and hitting the wrong thing. But so yeah, I don't know why these are considered highly unreliable, but I've heard that. But I've just heard too also that it's just people not setting them up properly. And you can see, I mean, setting these up. So right here is where for the front crossover is right here, and you have these different I don't know what you call them, little cards or whatever, resistors that you put in there, and then Down here, you could bypass that because you can then go from whatever this frequency is. You can then set up with the pins whether you want it to high pass from there or low pass from there. So focus. And the same here. Or you can bypass. So what else we got? I mean, there's just pins for everything. Balanced input. You've got noise gate, and then you can set the threshold for the noise gate. You can plug in signal processing modules into this board. And then over here's the rear mono, high pass, low pass, wide pass. And then it's got those two, I don't know what you call them, chips to set the frequency. But yeah, this thing's just wild. But this cracks me up though. It looks like, hey fellas, we ran out of room on the board. Just squeeze those caps in there any way you can. I mean, it almost looks like a P, or I don't know. I don't know if they were trying to make a shape or if it was just they ran out of room and so they just started sticking these wherever they could. But I mean, yeah, the power supply looks kind of jammed in there. But I mean, if you look at all these gate resistors. I mean, behind every single one of these is pinning a FET down to the heatsink. And I'm guessing that's the output. And then from here, this corner over, that's the power supply. So just a ton of FETs on this thing. And you can see, so I'm guessing this was like maybe the first revision. Oh, also this big old thing, I don't know. I think this has to do, so there's a left and the right, and then there's a passive left and right. This is the two screws on the right side. And then this is the mono out. I feel like this has to do with that passive. There's a switch up here. It says passive attenuation. And there's a 0 to -8 dB. I just don't know what that's all about. And these, I think, are just resistors, so maybe you're driving those channels. I don't know. I think there's something, I thought there was some sort of card you got that you could plug in. I thought, sorry, I ran out of camera space there. But yeah, there's some sort of card I thought you could get to plug in that utilized these channels. I don't know. They might just work. There's so much I don't know. So I'm going to be doing some more research on this thing, of course, before I use it. About the most confusing amp I've ever seen. But I don't know. I hear they sound sweet, so we're going to find out. You know, I mean, I know that those AdCom amps I have, those are considered to be like really, really good sound quality amps. So maybe I can do, you know, a little side by side with like those. I mean, I got that Moscone. It's just different wattages. So that thing's a beast. So, but just to see, you know, what's SQ, what I think, like, you know, adds a noticeable sound quality difference or whatever. But two, those are videos I want to do in the future. I have had zero time for the hobby. I picked up a few things, and that's when I throw videos up when I get stuff. But I really just don't have time right now because I'm over the road, so I'm only home a couple days a month, and those I'm you know, spend with family and stuff. So I haven't really gotten to it, but I'm looking to slow down here. Probably, I don't know, probably about a year or so, and I've got now all the stuff I would ever want to play with. So I've got just tons and tons of gear to mess with. I just got a couple more Kicker 18s that I'm going to redo. Maybe I'll do some videos on that. But, you know, just some more interesting videos other than kind of like just going through stuff and showing specs and amp guts. But, because I think it'd be more fun, you know, hook this stuff up so you guys can hear it and do some side-by-side comparisons on some things. I plan on doing them, but, you know, it's just getting time to do it. But, yeah, so I got the gear. I just got to find the time to use it. So, anyway, that's it for this one, fellas. Thanks.